I gotta be honest, I always have a little bit of melancholy when I pack up an awesome game and I have to put it away and come back and talk about it with you guys and review it for you, and that is how I'm feeling right now as I'm about to dig into this non-spoilery review of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This is the sequel to the fantastic Jedi Fallen Order, which was a big success for Lucasfilm and for Electronic Arts, but most importantly for developer Respawn, who is a company built up of a lot of veterans in the first-person shooter category, and Fallen Order really showed the world what they could do with a third-person character-based story-driven game in the Star Wars universe, which is a lot of descriptors. But suffice to say, meeting Cal Kestis and BD1 in Fallen Order was a big thrill for a lot of Star Wars fans out there like myself, and I was really looking forward to seeing what the follow-up would be with Jedi Survivor, and the teases have been sensational. They've really showcased a little bit of the heightened acrobatics and the heightened Jedi abilities. One of the cool decisions that the developers have made with this new game is that Cal Kestis isn't coming into this as a total noob. He's not having to learn all of his Jedi powers again and start from scratch. He starts off at the capabilities and the prowess that he had at the conclusion of Jedi Fallen Order, so he's already a badass. And he's going to need it, because this mission that he is on with this game, and it's actually a series of missions, are incredibly challenging, and they take this character and his friends and allies through all kinds of torturous situations. The drama, I think, in this new game really elevates, and that's not to diminish or reduce the drama in the first game. And I think what I need to say, because I've referenced Fallen Order so much already in this review, is that if you haven't played that game, don't get this one first. You have to go and get Jedi Fallen Order. It plays great on the PC, it plays great on the Xbox, it's on PS4, and you can play it on your PS5, and there have been some additions to help it run better on more modern technology, and it's a very, very good game. And so there was a lot to kind of live up to when this studio was going to kind of go back and look at what they were going to do with the sequel. And what I will tell you, without getting into details on where we're going or what we're going to be doing too much on these worlds, suffice to say, there's a lot of action and adventure, there's a lot of force-powered dueling and lots of lightsabers cutting through all kinds of people, limbs can be chopped off. The action is fantastic in this game. But you also explore a lot more in Jedi Survivor. There's a lot more openness to the environments. And I'll tell you a couple of the environments that we're going to be going to, because they've shown off a little bit of stuff in the trailers. So I'm going to kind of take my lead from EA's marketing here. But we're going to a planet called Kobo, which is kind of like a Wild West town. It's got a really cool central hub village where you can walk around and do some shopping and talk with the townsfolk. You'll notice a lot more interactive non-player characters that you can go walk up to and talk with, and they'll send you on side missions. Now, I didn't do every single side mission because I wanted to complete the story, and I did a few side missions, but I really wanted to see where this game was going to take me, which I think kind of lifts off in Kobo, but we also get some pretty cool sequences in Coruscant as well. But Kobo, I think, is a really good taste of what this game is going to offer, because now we can kind of go off in a bunch of different directions and explore in a bunch of different directions. It's amazing, too. You'll look at a giant cliffside or a mountainside, and you'll try to figure out where you're supposed to go to climb up, and you'll see that in every fold and nook and cranny in the rock, there might be some kind of secret entrance, and then you go in and there's catacombs and secrets galore, and there's lots of connections to Jedi mythology in there, and of course the Empire is so rooted. They're like serpents that have just dug into planets all over the place, and you'll find the Emps, as they're called in the game, or the Imps. You'll find them scattered all throughout the galaxy in all kinds of fiendish ways, and of course you have to take them down, and they come in a variety of stormtroopers and robotic equivalents. And what's cool is that this game really tips its hat to many, many eras of Star Wars mythology and lore, and Cal Kestis has become a much stronger Jedi as we're sort of launching into this new story. He's really in tune with his abilities and his connection to the Jedi Order as well, and his responsibility to kind of seed the new growth of the Jedi throughout the galaxy. And so we see a lot of that maturity in him, but he's also got a lot of detective work to do as well. He's trying to ascertain where the Jedi may have been or may have come from, and so he is looking in all kinds of cool areas. And one thing that I will say is that there are these Jedi temples that you get to go in, which feel a lot like some of the dungeons and some of the puzzle-solving temples that you would find in a Legend of Zelda game, which is really cool. So there's secret mechanics that you have to figure out, and the enemies might attack you in a different way. And it's really interesting that a lot of this technology is really tied to the past. And so we do get a lot of really interesting Star Wars lore. And what was amazing to me is just how invested I was in all of these different characters that are introduced in this game. There are new characters like Bo Dakuna, who is a great ally to Cal Kestis, and he's really fun. It's almost like if they fused the Rocketeer with Han Solo, and he's a great fit with Cal Kestis' Jedi powers and all of his incredible acrobatics with his lightsaber. And there's Bo just whipping around with his jetpack and his dual pistols. It's a lot of fun, and you get into these kind of battles. It's only single player this game, but there are times where you're in battle and you've got an ally beside you, and you can call them into action, and it's really cool. And of course, you're going to see some familiar faces from Jedi Fallen Order and also from Star Wars lore a little bit. You're going to be introduced to some really awful bad guys like Ravis, who is just this gigantic, monstrous dude in this metal suit, and he's got a big, hulking, deep voice, and he is intimidating when you meet him for the first time on Kobo, and he's sort of entrenched in the story in some really interesting ways. But then there's also lots of threads of bad guys, not just the Empire, scattered throughout the different environments that you're going to go to. And so you've got a bunch of different planets that you go to and you explore them, and they're filled with mystery and surprise and challenge. Obviously, you're going to be finding new elements for the outfits and the paint job that Cal Kestis and BD-1 have, which is always fun. You're also finding pieces for your lightsaber, and the lightsaber this time also has a lot more ability than in Jedi Fallen Order. You actually have these different stances where you can choose different setups with the lightsabers that you have. You might have a dual wield, or you might flip the switch and then suddenly you're a single wield, and you can go back and forth. And there's other ones which I won't get into. I'm really dancing around here. I'm really trying not to get to the meat of what makes this game awesome, but it's truly just getting completely immersed in the lore and the storytelling, which is so well made. We're in movie territory. You know, it's going to be a shock to me if Cal Kestis and BD-1 aren't on screens in live action form at some point soon, because the quality and the script writing and the performances and obviously all of the production qualities that we get with the new horsepower on these systems is breathtaking. It's wonderful, and the music and the sound effects as well. I've been completely transported by this game. Now, this is a little bit boring, but a couple of quick notes about the technical stuff that I ran into. There's a performance mode and there's a quality mode where you can up the resolution. I chose performance. I just like the fluidity of games. Honestly, I think quality, when you're talking about visuals, should also incorporate the idea of flow in the animation and how smooth everything looks, at least in my eyes. But it looks better in performance mode to me. I did have a few performance hiccups and slowdowns with the frame rate in a couple of different areas. I had a couple of crashes with the game, but I finished the game before the brand new patch was just dropped, and I played it for a little bit with the new patch just to see if there are improvements, and there already have been. And I know that this is going to be something that will be tuned, and you know, once the data is out there for how this thing is running on everybody's platforms, it will just be polished, and just like Jedi Fallen Order, just get better with age. The long and the short of it, I think for this review, and I want to come back and talk some more about some of the specific elements, but after you have played it and after you've had some time to sit with it. And I will tell you that there is a lot more to do once you complete the story. There's a new game plus, and there's more stuff to unlock and find. This is a completionist dream experience, because there's, of course, lots of little things to find all over the place, and lots of lore pieces and data discs, and some of the economy of the game as well to purchase things, and new characters that you keep finding. And because you're encountering these characters all the time, they might send you out on these just crazy, fantastic missions, and you genuinely care. And I think that's a bit of how I'm feeling right now. I'm walking away from the game and I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Where are we going with all this? But I felt that all the way through when I played this, and that was one of the great things about Jedi Survivors. I didn't know where they were going to take us. There are lots of surprises and these cool dramatic leaps that actually take us to some pretty dark places, and I was definitely impacted by the emotional weight of what was happening here. And so in a way, you could really kind of pigeonhole Jedi Fallen Order as a game that embodied the best ideas of Metroid and a Souls-like game and kind of fused them together and gave you a cool Star Wars action-adventure game. That is retained with this game, but the extra added exploration also makes it feel like we're in Zelda territory with this new one. And because of the emotional weight and the maturity of the storytelling, I was thinking about what Sony Santa Monica was doing with God of War, the most recent God of War games. This is a powerful, fantastic experience, whether or not you're a Star Wars fan, but if you're a Star Wars fan and you've played the first Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you're going to get so much out of this. It was one of the games that I was most looking forward to in 2023, and I'm very happy to say that it didn't disappoint. But something tells me, just like Jedi Fallen Order has grown in my estimation over time, that's exactly what's going to happen with Jedi Survivor. I think it's going to have a very, very big launch, and we're going to be talking about this one for years to come. So kudos to Respawn for building something incredibly special. I'm going to give Star Wars Jedi Survivor a 9.5 out of 10.